Max Scherzer turns back the clock in a crucial Game 4 win for the Blue Jays. Hey everyone, welcome into Long Ball. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Blue Jays writer Rob Longley and Toronto Sun sports columnist Steve Simmons. And guys, we spoke about it yesterday that we weren't entirely sure what we would see from 41-year-old Max Scherzer heading into Game 4, but if he was able to lead them to a win, he would be able to justify that $15 million deal they gave him in the offseason. And Steve, we'll start with you. We got the full Mad Max experience, including an interaction with manager John Schneider that I think is going to be remembered for a very, very long time. But so is this performance. The Blue Jays fans, I know online, were talking a lot about it. This is one of those outings that will be remembered forever in Blue Jays history.
So you think about great games Jays have pitched over the years with no matter who, Dave Stieb or Roy Halladay or anything. There was no theater like there was last night. This was a movie happening as we were watching it. Sometimes sport transcends just being an event or whatever, and I think it did last night for Canadians and for Toronto Blue Jays fans, because this was a moment in time. This was a where were you kind of evening. And we don't get those very often, and we don't get those very often from a 41-year-old who frankly looked like he was done a month and a half ago. And so the theater was brilliant, and the emotion was brilliant, and the emotion was raw and it was real. And and when you see that great moment in a great film, whatever the film happens to be, whatever the one you love, that sticks with you. That line is with you forever. That scene is with you forever, and that confrontation with John Schneider and Max Scherzer, short as it might have been, that's something people are going to remember for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and you know what, too? Like, sticking with that theme, there was a real plot line to it, too, right? Max Scherzer hadn't started since September 24th. He had trouble getting people out through all of September. And here he was coming back in. Wasn't even on the roster for the ALDS. Comes in a little bit shaky in the first inning, right? Didn't have his best stop. Threw 8 consecutive balls, walked 2 guys. Very next inning, surrenders a leadoff home run to Canadian Josh Naylor, and all of a sudden you're thinking, Max Scherzer's done. There is no more Mad Max. What are the Blue Jays doing here? Then all of a sudden, pitch by pitch, batter by batter, inning by inning, we saw the full-on Max Scherzer experience, as Steve says. He actually got better as the game went on. His fastball, being thrown with a 41-year-old arm, topped 96 miles an hour. Like, it was just incredible theater all the way through. And then for him to have that confrontation on the mound with John Schneider, who talked about it afterwards, saying it was what he was waiting for all season, to be yelled at by Max Scherzer. And I'm not convinced that it was a real confrontation. I think it was just sort of a little bit of a showdown. Both knew where it was going to end. Both knew that Max Scherzer wasn't coming out of the game at that moment. I think Schneider just wanted to make sure. He wanted to hear it from Max. He wanted him to say, get off of this mound. I'm staying in. I'm going to get this guy out. And then he did. And then it carried on in the dugout after the 5th inning. He lobbied hard enough to go in and pitch the 6th and almost got through that. But as Steve says, it really was, I think, a game that Blue Jays fans are going to remember forever. It's certainly going to be a part of the career highlight film of Max Scherzer. It's likely going to be played on the film when he's inducted in Cooperstown as a member of the Hall of Fame, a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. And it was just brilliant. It was so amazing to watch it unfold in front of our eyes last night.
And somebody, I don't know who, someone on television referenced the movie Slapshot, and I thought that was kind of funny because it did look like one of those Slapshot kind of confrontations that you might have seen, or Bull Durham, or one of those kind of movies. And yeah, it wasn't. I agree with you. The confrontation wasn't all that edgy. It was the way it was. You're coming out and he's saying no, or whoa, or whatever it is he's saying,
It's very emphatic.
We can stop this right here. And reminded me of a conversation I had years ago with Sparky Anderson, who used to talk about the hardest thing in baseball was going to the mound to get Jack Morris. And, you'd put your hand out and he'd give you a look. And, and you didn't want that look. And Sparky was a small guy. And so it looked kind of funny because Morris was a big man. And, I imagine for John Schneider, who, let's be honest, John Schneider was a minor league catcher who didn't advance very far, who became a manager almost by being in the right place at the right time with the Blue Jays, and hasn't necessarily distinguished himself before this season in any conceivable way. And then, all this season has happened, and now he has a moment too. This is a John Schneider moment, along with, all the other things that are happening with the Blue Jays, and we can touch on some of those now.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, hear teams talk all the time about young guys coming in and injecting energy into a team, but it's the opposite here. It's a 41-year-old injecting a ton of energy to a team that definitely needs it here as they try to advance to the World Series. Rob, it wasn't 13 runs on 18 hits, but definitely some similarities for the offense from Game 3 to Game 4, including another Andres Gimenez 2-run homer to get things going, and then another home run from Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who now holds the franchise record for most homers in a single postseason with 5, passing Jose Bautista. I know it's just the ALCS, it's not the World Series. There's still a lot of baseball left to be played, but when we're talking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the postseason that he is having right now, is it the best postseason for a Blue Jays hitter in team history?
Well, I guess we're halfway through, right? I mean, they still have to win 6 more games to win the World Series. But if they win the World Series and he continues to produce the way that he has been, I think probably yes. It sometimes gets lost in all the other contributions from guys at the bottom of the order. As you mentioned, Andres Gimenez, back-to-back nights with 2-run homers, brilliant. Addison Barger with a home run the other night. Contributions from up and down. But this offense is being driven by Vlad Guerrero Jr. right now. You can see it whenever he does something big in a ball game. He had a four hit game 2 nights ago, 5 home runs already, as you mentioned, Rob. And if he were to continue along this path, it would be the greatest postseason in Blue Jays history, I believe. Obviously, the Joe Carter home run is the biggest moment, but Vlad Guerrero Jr. has really left his mark on these playoffs already, and still plenty of action yet to be played out.
The truth is, there hasn't been a great offensive performance before this one. Yeah. There's been guys who have, Carter, who did what he did, or Molitor did what he did, or Alomar did what he did, but they weren't get to the plate and scare the whatever out of the other team. And that's what Guerrero's doing right now. He's walking.
Yeah, and he didn't have that element of fear all season long, really. Right?
No, he did not. But in the playoffs,
you knew it could happen in a moment, but consistently it wasn't there all season, right, Steve?
No, and this is the best we've ever seen him.
Yeah.
And it's coming at the right time, and I'm not going to be presumptuous enough to say 6 more wins, because the Dodgers are, by the way, on the other side there,
waiting,
doing what it is they do. And I'm not saying the Jays still win this series, because, they just had 2 games in a row where Seattle had the pitching advantage, and they bombed the Seattle pitching, and the Jays got by with their pitching. And so now the Jays get the advantage with their people in place. So I can't say they're going to win the games they have the advantage when Seattle didn't win the games they had the advantage with. It's a very odd series. I've never seen a series like this. The first 2 games made it look like the Mariners were real contenders. And, they were a team that had a little more than the Jays had in every area you could think of. And then Game 3 and Game 4 come, and it flips the thing completely. And now the Mariners look like pretenders, and the Jays look like world beaters. And it's like, how did this happen in 4 games? Like, it's complete role reversal. And, now what's going to happen, tonight? I don't have a clue, because you can't possibly have had a clue on any of these games so far, however they've turned out. And do you feel good because Gossman's pitching for the Jays? Yeah, you always feel good when Gossman's pitching for the Jays, but I think he wins about half of his starts, not much more than that. So, who knows is the best answer to all of this, except for Guerrero doing what he's doing, which is spectacular to watch. And at the bottom of the lineup, who the heck would have ever seen Andres Jimenez hitting home runs back-to-back games, once with Clement in front of him, once with Isaiah Kiner Falefa in front of him. It's not exact. When I look at the Jays order, and I saw 7, 8, 9 the last two nights, I thought, this is not a 7, 8, 9 you're going to be, challenging anybody with. And look at all the runs those guys have knocked in or scored.
So quickly, Rob, Steve mentioned it there, Kevin Gausman getting the start for the Blue Jays in game number 5. We spoke about it after the first game of the series where there was an early hook on Gausman. I think we all agreed that that was probably not the right move. If he gets in that situation again, how do you think John Schneider might handle it this time around, considering the nature of this game being one that would put them up 3-2 in the series? There's a lot at stake, obviously.
I think if John Schneider tries to do that again, Max Scherzer will follow him out to the mound and drag him back. This is not going to happen again tonight if Kevin Gausman is pitching the same way that he did in Game 1. John Schneider would have clearly learned from that mistake. Kevin Gausman is their ace, despite some of the other good pitching performances we've seen so far. Big stage for him. The fact that he's on the mound tonight, I think, is what swings the series back in the Blue Jays' favor. But remember, no team has won a home game yet in this series, so the Jays still have to win one at home at some point if they're going to win the series. But to get that win tonight with Gausman pitching, then it would certainly come back to Toronto with the odds stacked heavily in their favor. That's why, I guess every game is a huge one, right? Last night felt massive, but tonight's game is huge in the respect that it's a chance for the Jays to really have a stranglehold on the Mariners coming home with 2 more.
If I'm Kevin Gausman, I'm taking a moment sometime today, sometime in the clubhouse, and I'm going to see Max Scherzer, and I'm just getting the pep talk on, because Gausman has lots of confidence. Gausman feels great about the way he does his job, and so he should. But Gausman's not built to scream at the manager or to say you're wrong here. He might do it behind closed doors, but he does not do that. That's not what he does on the mound. Last night is funny. Dan Wilson pulled Castillo early, and I think he pulled him early because he went too long with his starter the night before. So the manager is adjusting to his own sort of mistakes. Now, what happens with Schneider? Does he adjust to the mistakes that he's done this more than once, by the way, with Gausman. You go back to the famous Seattle crazy 11-10 playoff game. He pulled Gausman too early that night too, and Tim Mays, I think, gave up either a grand slam or a 3-run homer right after that. That was the same kind of situation and the same circumstances we've seen before. That that silly third time through thing, and all that, and I know the Jays, swear by all of that stuff.
Well, every team does, Steve.
I know, but great pitchers are great pitchers.
Correct.
And they're going to find moments. And Kevin Gausman, by the way, threw the best pitched game I saw this season. Late in the season, he threw that complete game, and he was just first pitch strike, I think, to almost every batter. Just brilliant. When a guy's going, you have to let him go as far as he can.
John Schneider will not make that mistake tonight. I guarantee you.
Yeah, he talked about trusting in people after the game last night, so we'll see how long Kevin Gausman can go in this one. The Blue Jays in a good spot here with 2 of the next 3 at home in this best of 3 against the Mariners. A Game 7, if needed, will go on Monday, but right now Game 5 set for Friday night at T-Mobile Park. As always, leave your thoughts in the comment section below.
Can I jump
Yes.
in? Sorry to interrupt, Rob. I just wanted to make one point to kind of pee off Rob for 1 second. If you're watching this series, you've never seen baseball before, and you're watching this series, and you're watching Guerrero at the plate, absolute masterful performance at the plate, and you're watching the possible MVP, Cal Raleigh, with 60 home runs and has a Gold Glove in the past, and the balls are bouncing on him, and he's not stopping pitches he should stop. Who's your MVP?
Oh, Vlad for sure. Yeah, you're right, Steve. We've had this. You and I had this discussion the other day. I mean, Raleigh has obviously he's hit a couple home runs in this series,
But
he's had a couple,
he's not overwhelmingly impressive.
not even close.
The
Defensively, as you said,
at-bats are not great.
no. Scherzer played him pretty well last night with a strikeout and really seemed to have the edge on him. So, it's interesting that the roles have reversed between those two players because Vlad has flip-flopped from an ordinary regular season to an outstanding postseason, and Raleigh's gone the other way.
Sorry, Rob.
It's okay. Well, I was going to look. Even Andres Jimenez is looking more threatening at the plate right now than Cal Raleigh. So it's interesting how things can change quickly. But don't want to poke the bear too much because you never know. Feels like a home run might be just around the corner for old Big Dumper, as they call him out there in Seattle. We'll see what happens here in game number 5. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Steve Simmons and Rob Longley, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you on the next one.